And what a week it was. Finally, everything came together in 1 week, and I was able to have a good week. I was very happy with my week last week. I'm very excited. Now, before we begin with the episode, because we've got trading targets, we've got some Premos that are falling, who you should be targeting over the next month. We've got some rookies on the bubble who we should be looking at for downgrade options. We've got some injury news too, and a lot of other stuff. But before we begin with that, and questions, of course, these are the questions that you have submitted to me on social media. Now, before we begin, I just want to say, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, give us a like, send us a comment. Same thing with Spotify. You can follow us on Nerds for Life SuperCoach, Nerds for Life SC on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. Now, the reason being you want to follow us is because we post news and updates throughout the weekend, throughout the week, on all things SuperCoach, but also captain choices, which is kind of important when it comes to, you know, making sure you get a decent score come the start of the round. So, let's begin. I'm just going to give a brief overview on how everything kind of went for the top winner. Let's take a look. View League. Alright, so this is the weekly winner from last week in the Nerds for Life SuperCoach group, which you can still join, by the way. The description, how to join is in the description below. Sofa King Good, Adam's team, scored a 2,216. Massive, absolutely massive score with an overall rank of 10,888. Went up 49,000 ranking spots last week with a score like that. Fair enough. Who do you have? He had Whitfield, Sheasel, Wanganeen, Malera, Short, Bice, Reed, but he looped on O'Sullivan's score. He had Trainer on the bench as well, and his score didn't count towards the overall score. Holy shit, that is a backline and a half. And then he's got, in the midfield, he's got Sinclair, that's not bad, DPP there. Sarong, Neil, Oliver, Marek he brought in, O'Driscoll, Ashcroft, that's Levi Ashcroft, Marias, and he has got Lindsay, Henderson, and Hewitt on the bench, Gorn and Cherry in the ruck, McRae, Horn Francis, good, he's a holder of Horn Francis, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel, Sam Davidson, Pal Pepper, and Sammy Laylaw. He's also got Tom Lynch on the bench and Isaac Kako. This is a fucking good team. This is a really good team. Like, I'm going to be honest, this team is probably better than my team right now. You're in a good position. A really good position. Alright, good on you. Great week. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, we'll go to my ranking and my team now. I scored a 2,057. I was very happy about that. Top 3%. I've gone up to a season rank of 4,864 out of 183,000, almost 184,000 people. So that's not bad, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. I moved up 10,000 spaces last week. Finally, a pretty good week. I've been plugging along nicely. I've been happy. I've been happy with the way I'm going. I've still got 35 trades left and 4 boosts. I've made 0. And I mean when I say absolutely 0 Premo trades or mid-pricer trades. I've held throughout the shit. So I've held the guys like Sheasel, Neil, Gorn, Horn Francis, and they all rewarded me with a 144, a 148, a 122, and a 153. So I'm one of those dudes that held, and I was very happy that I did. And now we're going into this week. And this week is finally best 18s are done. We've got best 22. I know there's 23 on field, but that means, you know, the flex comes in and knocks out your lowest score. Could be your flex. It might not be as well. So there's a lot of things moving on, and this is where things get interesting because you're no longer protected by best 18. So your bottom 2, 3, 4 scores that were just getting knocked out in your best 18 scores, you're then very much needed. So you want to be trying to raise that floor score as much as you possibly can. So that's what this week is there for. I missed out personally on Connor O'Sullivan. That one is annoying. I'm probably going to stick it out with Trainer. Look, on field, that is. I'll loop. Let's see. I think Essendon play early. Fixture. Let's take a look. Live podcasting. Alright, so Richmond play on the Sunday. So I could... No, I can't because Sydney are my loop option in defence. So yeah, I'm probably just going to stick with Trainer on field. I'll have Zach Reed as my bench option as an emergency. Is making some cash. Peyton is someone that is really bothering me at the moment. Hasn't played that second game. Very frustrating. But it is what it is. Hopefully he's named soon. I've got Xavier Lindsay on bench. He is listed as a test and could come back. Hewitt is listed as a test as well. And calf expected to be available for round 6. He wasn't on the injury list report. What? What do you mean? Hang on. Where's the latest? Tickets, fantasy, where is it? I actually hate the AFL website. Like, why is the app so good to navigate and the website's just shit? Lineup, tipping, latest injury news. Let's see. Hang on. Going down to West Coast. You've got... Oh, Hewitt's still listed as a week. That is frustrating as fuck. That is very frustrating. His break even is a 9. He's got a break even a 9 and he was the sub. He's got Essendon coming up. Hasn't been setting the world on fire. To me, he's probably a trade out. That is annoying. Okay, so he's probably a trade out. I do like a few players. Yeah, that is annoying. That is very annoying. Oh, I know who my trades are this week anyway. We already know about Nathan O'Driscoll. I'll go into a few of the major injuries. The SuperCoach relevant ones anyway. So the first one is Will Day. Will Day is... Zuko. Sorry, my dog's in the room and he's just kind of freaking out. Come on, just hang out. Just relax. Now, the first one is... Will Day. He's out for the next 3 to 4 months, which means he's an obvious trade out. We've got a lot of options to trade in. O'Driscoll, I don't have Will Day, by the way. O'Driscoll is another one that unfortunately we are going to have to trade out. Yes, he's got a low break even, but he's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. This would have been a juicy matchup. He would have had the Tigers this week, and then he would have had Melbourne, which would have been a great couple of weeks for him, but unfortunately his cash generation has halted. We have made 112k approximately from him, so that's pretty good. But look, it should have been a 200k player. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago I brought in Nathan O'Driscoll and Xavier Lindsay, and I'm already trading out O'Driscoll, and Xavier Lindsay didn't play last week, so it's been fun. So O'Driscoll is a trade out. Isaac Rankin is listed as a test. He has a calf soreness. He could still play, but most likely will miss. But it's a 1 weeker. I wouldn't be trading him out. He's definitely a top 6 forward. Xavier Lindsay is most likely... I mean, he's also subject to fitness. He could come back this week, or it could be next week at the latest, which is pretty good. Elijah Hewitt, which I didn't notice until today, is actually... while actually talking about this, he is a player that he hasn't really been setting the world on fire, and now he's got a 1 week injury. He's already missed a week. For me, I think I'm going to trade him out for his teammate. We'll get into trade-ins shortly. They're the major injury, the SuperCoach relevant injury news. I'm just going through it. Kitty Coleman's back in the next 3 to 5 weeks. Mark Pitnet is listed as a test. That could be interesting. Harry Mackay did kick a couple of goals in the VFL, so he could come back, which means that maybe Pitnet doesn't play, which is kind of the best way to go about this week, which will be very frustrating for anyone that has TDK, but they do play West Coast, so he could still kick a bag of goals even if he shares the ruck load. Harry Mackay could be back as well, which could help the Pitnet stay out of the team, because then he could pinch hit in the ruck, and TDK can continue doing what he's doing. Carlton don't look good, though. They do not look good. Jordan DeGoe is out for a week. Dan Houston's suspended for a couple. That is fair enough. Going down, Jai Caldwell is out for 4 weeks. That is it. And Darcy Parish is listed as a test, which means Elijah Santos, those who held him, might actually benefit. Fife's listed as a test. Luke Jackson's out for 2 to 3 weeks, so here's a trade out. Nathan O'Driscoll 4 to 5 weeks, so here's a trade out as well. Unfortunately, going down to Geelong, no one really super coach relevant, but Jack Henry out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, and Colin Jasney still out for another week or two, means that O'Sullivan's job security was a lot better than we expected, so that's frustrating for people who didn't pick him like me. Going down to the Gold Coast don't really have any injuries. The Giants don't really have any injuries that are super coach relevant. Will Day 3 to 4 months for Hawthorn. That's about that. Melbourne, I mentioned Xavier Lindsay. That's about it. Jake Lever is 8 weeks out. That's more for a Supercoach draft perspective. Going down to North Melbourne, Zach Fisher's listed as a test, which could be interesting because if he comes back into the team, does that mean Harry Sheasel comes out of that halfback position? Something to keep an eye out on. George Wardlaw, by the way, had 21 disposals in the VFL. That is interesting. That is definitely interesting as well. Going down to Port. Nothing really there. Richmond, I know that, what's his name? Josh Smiley came through the VFL, so he could come in to the side. Dion Presti is still out for a little bit, so that's about it. There's still no update on Josh Gibcus. He could be a decent trade down option later on. Butler still out of the team for St Kilda. Hunter Clark still out. Max King, yeah. Jack Steele's listed as a test. Sydney, there's a lot of outs for Sydney. Callum Mills is still 2-3 weeks away. Papley's out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Errol Goulden's still gone for a long time. Taylor Adams is still out. West Coast, Campbell Chesser out. Hewitt out. Hutchinson's listed as a test. McGovern's still got a week or two left, and he's out of the team. This is why I didn't pick up Marek, because if McGovern's back next week, you're only going to get 2 good scores out of Marek. And then that's it. Like, Elliot Yeo's out the next 4 to 5 weeks. I actually don't mind one of the trade-in targets this week that I'm going to talk about, and that is because there's a decent amount of midfield injuries at West Coast, so we should get at least another 2 to 3 games, hopefully, maybe 4 games from this other guy that could be the trade-in option this week. It could make 100k before anything happens. Marcus Bontempelli is another week or 2 away, by the way. That could be interesting. Adam Trelaw's got 3 to 5 weeks away as well, and that's the injury list. Well, the Supercoach relevant injury list anyway. Moving on to trade-ins. Now, these are the guys that we're looking at who a lot of people are trading in, and I can see why. All right. I'm going to be talking about 4 rookies. There are 4 rookies that are on the bubble that really need to be discussed, and there's a reason why. Okay, the first one is Clay Hall, and I'm most likely bringing this guy in for Elijah Hewitt, who's still out for a week, but I haven't made a final call on that. It really does depend on selections, but I'm most likely bringing in Clay Hall, whether it's for O'Driscoll or Elijah Hewitt. Hewitt could stay in the team for 1 more week because I do like that DPP swing, and he's got a low break even, so I don't mind holding him for another week if one of my other rookies is not named again, because I could go Camporelli to Clay Hall or an Aiden Johnson to Dudley or something like that. So I could still get Clay Hall. I have so many ways of getting him. It's not funny, so I'll see how I go. But this is the guy that I think should be the number 1 target. He's projected to score a 52 and go up almost like 57k. He's not going to score a 52. He's probably going to score closer to 75 against Carlton. Maybe a 70, right? So he's most likely going up 60k this week. After that, he's got Essendon and Hawthorn. Now, the Hawks do lock teams down, but they're not locking down Clay Hall. They're going to give attention to someone like a Tim Kelly or a, Harley Reid. They're not going to give attention to Clay Hall, which could be a decent score over the next 2 to 3 weeks, especially if he's getting bulk CBAs, which he has been getting. Now, he was the highest CBA getter last weekend, and the game before that, I think he was second or third. So he's getting bulk CBAs. My only concern is he didn't play round 1. He played round 2 when Jack Graham missed. I think it was due to illness. Then he was dropped when Jack Graham was brought back into the team, and Jack Graham went back to CBA action. Then he came back in when Elijah Hewitt went out with a calf injury in round 4, and he scored pretty well. Now, he's had a primary role in both those games, but the fact that he didn't start the season and the fact that he was dropped after one game kind of shows me that that many might not rate him as a lock-in best 22 player. Now, his break-even is so low that he could just he can make 100k in literally 2 weeks. He can make 100k in 2-3 weeks, and that's all you need him for. But my concern is his job security, so do keep an eye out on that. I'm not sure, because Jack Graham was moved to a wing, and he didn't look as good as what he does when he's in the guts. So it kind of depends on where Jack Graham plays and where they want Jack Graham to play. If he stays in the team, I probably would still pick him. It's a quick 60k at least. We know that he can score. It was a really weird game against... who'd they play? They played the Giants. It was a really weird game. They got slaughtered. He actually had, I think, the second most disposals for West Coast as well, playing in a CBA role, and his scoring wasn't great for how much of the ball he actually got. I think he got 22 disposals. I thought that was at least a 75 score game. So, look, the floor's good. His scoring should be okay, provided he's playing. 23,000 coaches have brought him in. I understand the appeal, but just keep an eye out on the team sheets when it comes to him. This is the guy that I'm really keen on, and that is Isaiah Dudley. 99k player, basement price. Now, this is not someone you want on your field. He's got a negative break-even of 69, so negative 69. His projected score is 37, and he's going to go up 46k if he hits that 37. I don't think he scores a 37 against Richmond. Okay, his next two opponents are Richmond and Melbourne. Like, Fremantle are actually playing some decent footy, and he's kicking goals, and he's looking good. And he's moving down to the wing as well a little bit. I like this. He scored an 82 against West Coast and a 46 against the Dogs. Now, the Dogs are a tough opponent, and the Eagles are an easy opponent. Now, he's got two relatively easy opponents coming up. I could genuinely see him scoring between 65 and 75 in the next 2 games, which is great for someone that should be sitting on your bench, and his basement price, provided he does that. Let's just say he goes 60. Let's just say he goes 60 in both the Richmond and the Melbourne game. He is going to make you 100k like that. Literally, in 2 games' time, he can make you 100k very quickly. And then that's fine. He's doubled his money. He's doubled his value. So, and he's sitting on your bench. Against Richmond, I'd probably put him in my flex position, honestly, because he can kick 2-3 goals against the Tigers, and maybe he goes to 75, and that's not that bad. So for me, I actually like Isaiah Dudley. He's making an impact. He's a basement price player, so you're not going to get anyone cheaper. You're going to maximize your trade down as well. Like, absolutely maximize your trade down. Freo have some injuries, and I think that is going to help keep him in the team. My only concern is that Fife's coming in, but O'Driscoll comes out. You've got Hayden Young coming back. Luke Jackson and Darcy don't really affect Isaiah Dudley, of course, but Fife playing forward more might affect Dudley, so just keep an eye out on that. But they're probably the 2 players I'm trading in this week for more cash generation. And against Richmond, if I do bring in Isaiah Dudley, he's going to be my flex, because honestly, I can see him kicking 2-3 goals against the Tigers. Genuinely. I genuinely can. They're probably the 2 players that I rate the most. And again, Clay Hall is the player on the field. Isaiah Dudley's not on the field. Now, a lot of people are bringing in Toby Travalia, and I do understand this. Now, I want Toby Travalia, but I don't think I'm going to be picking him. unless Clay Hall or Isaiah Dudley are dropped. If Clay Hall's dropped, let's just say Clay Hall doesn't play this week. I'm probably going to go Isaiah Dudley and Travalia. Like, that's just the way it goes, right? Travalia is third, and that is purely because of his price. He's got a negative 32 break-even and a projected score of 46, and he'll go up 34k. I don't think he scores a 46. He's got the Giants, which is a tough opponent, the Dogs, Brisbane, and Melbourne, and Carlton, by the way, in his next 5 games. All of those are pretty hard midfields to score against. He's playing a lot of wing and a little bit of halfback. He's doing okay. He's not getting CBAs. He's not getting kickouts. He doesn't have a primary role. And I just want to point out that Jack Steele has missed the last 2 games. So how he fits in the team is still a little unknown. Started the game really well, and then he just really dropped off. He had a really good game against the Tigers. Yes, he scored an 83, but the draw's not great as well, and you're paying top dollar. Look, hypothetically your midfield's full. Hypothetically your midfield is not looking as bad as mine on the bench, and you're looking okay, but your backline, you've got Patton, for example, and some extra cash. I don't mind trading out Patton and going a Toby Travalia. My bench is looking really bad. So my cash generation is looking absolutely disgusting at the moment. I started the wrong rookies on bench, and it's been really frustrating. I feel like my Primos are fine, but this is just, it's pretty horrible at the moment. And that's what I need to fix. And I don't want to be buying a player that's more expensive than Elijah Hewitt to then try to make money. I'd rather be trading down, banking the cash, and trying to go with an upgrade next week. That's personally what I'm doing. Now, they're the 3 top trade-ins, but there's just one more, and I think he's worth mentioning, and it's Elijah Sarsis. Now, he broke his hand, so he missed round 3. He didn't play round 4 because of the bye. He's got a negative 13 break-even, and he hasn't set the world on fire. But he's got Melbourne and then West Coast. Okay, he's scored a 50 and a 78. He's been getting really low time on ground, about 50% time on ground. It's not good, and that's why his scoring's been quite low. But he has been finding the ball when he does play. With Caldwell out for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and Parrish potentially being back but not being back, I don't mind bringing him in. Now, I traded him out, so I'm not bringing him back in. But those who are considering it, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. If you're going down from O'Driscoll back to Tsartis, I don't mind that. His job security is better than Clay Hall's. My concern is his time on ground. For me, these 2 are the top 2 trade-in rookies, followed by Travalia and then Sartis, because he didn't set the world on fire, as I said. He's actually the most expensive rookie, and also, yes, the Dons have some injuries, but they could just swap Caldwell. They could just swap it in Parrish for Caldwell, and then Sartis has the same role, which is average, and you're not getting the cash generation you want. So for me, they're the 4 main rookie trade-ins that we really need to be focusing on. Try to fix your team as much as possible. I don't want Moraes on field. I don't want Henderson on field, for example. So I need to fix that. I need to fix the players that I have on field. I think my backline's fine. My ruck's probably fine. My midfield's probably fine. But I'm going to be moving things around to try to get the best possible field options. And that's the way it is, really. That's the way it is. Now, these are the Premo trade-ins. So these are the guys that I want to be looking at over the next couple of weeks. And the first one I want to talk about is a Tom Stewart. Now, keep an eye out on him. He's got a break-even 163 and he's $483,500. Now, he's projected to go at 81, go down 36k. Now, I actually think he goes about 100. Okay? Because I just want to show you this. He's had bulk kick-ins in the 3 games that he's played. Okay? 100 in round 1, and he had, I think, 5 kick-ins, and it was a pretty evenly spread kick-in game, but he still did well. Got injured early against St Kilda, and he scored a 9, but was playing in halfback in both those games. Then he comes back in round 4, where he scores 118. main distributor from defense as well as kick-ins. Fantastic, great. But his break-even so high, he dumps a bunch of cash. He should be about 550k next week, hopefully. I think that he is one of the best trade-in options next week, because if you can pick up a player at 550k, or was that 450k? No, 450k, sorry. 450, 460k, and he's a keeper, because he could be your D6 at season's end, and he's averaging, 105 for the rest of the year. That's really good. You've done very well. And we know that his spike games can be really high. Like, look, he's played 2 full games this season, and it's 100 and 118. Like, he's looking good. And he's playing his halfback position. He's not playing in the midfield. He has not played in the midfield this season, which is where we don't want him to be. So, for me, that means he's actually playing in the role that we want him to be playing in. So, honestly, at this point in time, he's my number 1 trade-in target, most likely next week. The other one I want to talk about is Christian Petrarca. Break even of 125, which he could get against Essendon. He's projected to go 81, which he probably doesn't. He probably goes higher than that, and he's going down 20k. Okay. Now, hypothetically, goes down 20k. He's going to be $475,000. He's probably going to be closer to $485,000 by the end of this week. He has started the season off with a 98, 78, 80, and 92. Why am I talking about Christian Petrarca? Because next week, he is most likely going to be listed as a forward. He's sitting at about a 46% time on ground up forward, and he needs to be averaging at least 35% in order to get DPP. So unless he plays all day in the midfield this week against Essendon, which I doubt that he does, he is going to be a forward next week. And honestly, the role only gets better, because I just want to point out, when he scored 98, he was their number 1 CBA getter. Since round 2, so when he scored 78, 80, and 92, he has been number 4 in CBAs on rotation. So he's been behind Oliver, he's been behind Viney, he's been behind Langford and Langdon. So he's been behind other players. I can't see his role getting any worse. If only it's going to get better. He's still getting a lot of the ball. He's still kicking goals. It's only a matter of time that he goes nuts and he scores a 135. Now, his next 4 opponents is what's juicy. So he's got Essendon, who have been locking down a little bit, but they're going to target Oliver. They're not going to target someone that's their 4th highest CBA game. Then he's got Fremantle, who don't tag. And then he's got Richmond and West Coast, who really don't matter. He could go nuts against Richmond and West Coast. So bringing in a guy that's potentially a top 6 forward just before he goes on against Richmond and West Coast could be an absolute steal if you're getting him about 480k, which is a very serious chance you could be getting Christian Petrarca at. Even if he goes 125 this week against Essendon, he's not going to change in value that much. He's still going to be below 500k, which is still a lock for next week. Tom Stewart and Christian Petrarca should be the number 1 and 2 options next week to bring in. For me, maybe Christian Petrarca is a little bit more attractive than Tom Stewart, because there's a lot of defensive options and there'll be more defenders throughout the year that you can pick up. But there's not as many great forward options, and we've been wanting Christian Petrarca up forward for years. Since he was, I think the last time he was a forward eligible player was 2021. So it's been a few years since he was forward eligible. It might have even been before that. It might have been like 2019. It might have been way before that. So he's finally forward eligible again. Make the most of it. I could see him being a top 6 forward, especially when his role eventually improves. He starts to get some confidence back into his game. He's injected into the midfield more. And he starts averaging 110s again, maybe. Honestly, that's the best case scenario. His floor is not bad. It's not bad. I personally think that he should be on everybody's radar. Now, the other one I want to talk about is Nick Dacos. 582k, break even of 130, he's averaging 95.8, scored a 66 in opening round, a 98 in round 1, a 125 against the Dogs and a 94 against Carlton. Has not set the world on fire, has had plantar fasciitis problems, had a bye. He's now going up against Sydney with James Jordan. He's got Brisbane who don't tag, and Essendon and Geelong who have spent a little bit of time on tagging players as well. He could really drop in cash this week, especially if James Jordan does lock him down. If he locks him down to a below 100 score, what he's projected to go 100, and he's still going to drop another 13k. I think that James Jordan keeps him to about... If James Jordan can keep him to an 85, he's going to be very cheap. He's going to be very cheap very quickly. He is not a next week for me. He is the week after for me. I think next week you go for a Christian Petrarca and a Tom Stewart. The week after is probably when Dacor starts to bottom out. Depends how badly he does against Sydney, really. And then if he doesn't set the world on fire against Brisbane, that's when you think maybe he's not worth picking up against Essendon or Geelong as well. So I don't think Nick Dacos is a trade-in, but he should be a trade-in within the next month. He's definitely someone to keep an eye on, though. That's that when it comes to trade-ins at the moment. I wouldn't be trading in Jack Sinclair right now. A lot of people are. Almost 640k. He's got 103 break-even. He's not going up or down too much. Just wait for a down game. It will happen. He will have a down game. He started the season on fire. This is the guy I really wanted to start this year, but he had that interrupted pre-season. I just didn't do it. I was so annoyed he didn't do it. Look, he's got the best buy in the competition, so I totally understand why people are trading him in. But at 640k, I can't do that. Jake Saligo's been pretty awesome. He's got a 66 break even. It's not bad. He's already got a 53k. It's $501,000. It's not bad. Holy shit, he's actually been really good. 114, 108, 108, 126. His upcoming draws okay. There's no real tags there apart from Geelong. I don't mind Jake Saligo. It's got a good finish to the year too. Ooh, that is an interesting one. If you've got that's an interesting POD. But he's also in the top 5 most traded in players. So maybe it's just because people are able to get to him very easily from a Nathan O'Driscoll. They can. I don't mind that pick, but also Adelaide have a very stacked midfield. So one to keep an eye out on, definitely. Definitely. Now, let's go to your questions. Let's see. Has anyone actually responded to me on X? Question time. All right. Ted Ribbon. Rank these in priority, trade out order. Fraser, SDK, Farrell, Garcia, Nod, X. All right. Awesome. So, let's see. I would say Nathan O'Driscoll, due to the injury, is number 1 trade out. I think that Fraser Bevo is number 2 trade out. I think that Farrell is number 3, Garcia is number 4, and SDK is number 5. And I've only had one on Twitter. Now on Facebook, I think we've got a few more. Yep, we've got 21 comments. I wonder how many of these I've already answered. Mark Pollard. Can I make my own decisions, or do I need to ask a whole group everything? Obviously, you need to ask the whole group everything. That's kind of funny. I do like that. Well said. Yep. I mean, I don't understand I don't understand the point. What do you mean by well said? Whatever. Paul Revanaki. I should know this, but here goes. When Caleb Daniel gets reclassified after round 6, he's going to have to be given defender status. This will be in addition to his forward mid status. No, I'm not going to read the rest of the. I'm not going to read the rest of the question because he can't have 3 positions. So he's got mid forward, even though he's not playing mid forward, he stays mid forward until next year. Lulu, O'Driscoll to Clay, Callahan to Sinclair. Not sure about West Coast rookies. As I said before about. Just keep an eye on Clay Hall. Callahan to Sinclair, I don't mind, but Sinclair is quite pricey, so you're paying top dollar for him, which is annoying, but he does have a great buy, decent run, but you've already missed out on his best scores because it was like against the Tigers, so I don't know about it. Yeah, he's definitely someone to consider. I still think Callahan's a player to keep and hold on to. He's only had a couple of average games, but he's also shown us his ceiling. Yeah, I suppose it's not bad. It's not bad. Just keep an eye out on what Clay Hall does. Seth Fuller, day and nod out. Took and C Hall for West Coast in. I don't mind it. Took's an interesting one. He's been playing a lot of forward. His break-even's 105. He's got North Melbourne. It's 566k. He's got North Melbourne and Richmond, so he should score well against them. But he's played West Coast, Melbourne, and Adelaide. He's scored well enough. Flanders hasn't really got himself going. I don't hate this one. Maybe he gets forward status as well in the future. Yeah, I don't mind it. A little bit of a POD. Todd Rivers. Why is no one talking about the #1 rated player in the competition since round 21 last year at $442,000? Who is it? Todd who? Darcy? I thought it was only realised that Ridley Thilthorpe. Riley, never named him. You did. Riley Thilthorpe. Yeah, Thilthorpe has been interesting, actually. He has been very interesting. Those who started him, the very few players that started him, why have 3 people traded him out? What the absolute fuck? Reverse those trades. His break-evens are 41. He's made teams almost 72k, which is quite interesting. He's gone 99, 97, 110, 114. He's actually getting better. It's actually been an interesting one. No, he's been great. He's been fantastic, actually. He's been absolutely fantastic. I don't know why no one's talking about him. I did, by the way, write an article about him on... Oh my god, I needed a drink of water there. I did write an article about him on Inside F Sports, who I work alongside. You can check that out on my Facebook. If you sign up using the code NERDS, it supports this page. It's me, as well as them, of course. They post a lot of really good stuff on the Patreon as well, so do keep an eye out. A lot of news and updates throughout the week. For those watching this on YouTube, you can check it out here. So it's Inside Fantasy Sports. And if you sign up with the word NERDS, you do support us as well. Now, I wrote an article about him entering pre-season. I said that he is a massive POD, and he's the biggest POD in Adelaide. And if I had like really big cojones, I would have gone for him. I just didn't, and I am a little bit disappointed I didn't. No, but he's been fantastic. He really has been. Now go back to question time. Let's see. Jake Charman, who to get for Joe Berry? He has ended his cash gen. I could get Clay Hall if I swapped some players and positions around. I've also seen some people say Clay Hall won't be great for cash gen long term and will be a trade burnt. I think we've already discussed the Clay Hall issue. Just keep an eye out. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. The role's good enough, so even if he only plays 3 games, it should be enough to make money. Dilson Herman, best captain for round 5. We'll get to captaincies soon. George Pantustopoulos. Would you downgrade Roberts to bias? Backline consistent if Dale, Chessel, Zorko, Martin, O'Sullivan, Trainer, Reed. I'm still up in the air what to do with Martin. Hold Martin because Martin's about to get forward status. He's playing a lot of forward, so I'd be holding Martin and checking him in your forward line in 1 week's time. Because if he then gets a decent roll back again, he's going to be very good. I'd be keeping Martin up forward until at least he's bye, just to see how it goes. Roberts to Bias. Roberts has played 1 bad game for the season. Yes, Bias had the primary role, but Roberts didn't have a bad role still. So Roberts, I think, just hold on to for a little bit and just wait it out. He's had 1 bad game. Just wait it out. I would not be trading out Roberts yet. Don't do that. Nathan O'Driscoll to Marek and Callahan to Whitfield. Good trades. Marek is only going to have this primary role for another week or 2. He's still going to be scoring good after that, but it's not going to be amazing because McGovern's out for only a week or 2. I think the people that miss Marek have missed Marek, and you're only ever going to get 2 to 4 weeks out of him, and now it's 1 week, 1 or 2 weeks less than that. So no, I wouldn't be getting in Marek for Nathan O'Driscoll. Myself, personally, that's what I think. Callahan to Whitfield, that's fine. Whitfield is definitely a must-have. Joshua Chaplin, Nathan O'Driscoll, hold or sell. Can trade up to McCluggage. I love the McCluggage pick. I absolutely love the McCluggage pick. He is such... How do I spell McCluggage? There he is. Lincoln McCluggage. Nope, wrong. That's Lincoln McCarthy. I clicked on the wrong one. Hugh McCluggage, sorry. Break even of 60, so he's about to go up in value again, but he has his lowest ever. So the team that he scores the second lowest against is the Dogs, so be aware of that. But he's gone 80, 132, 136, and 156. He is under the radar big time. Big time. I actually really like this pick. I really do. Because Lockie Neal's the one that gets most of the attention. Then you've got Dunkley, who would be second, and Will Ashcroft. Everyone kind of forgets about Hugh McCluggage, and he's so good. I actually really like the pick, personally. Myself. I actually really like it. Now, moving on to Taylor Goodall. Yep. Good week to just hold trades. Doesn't seem like anyone that's a must-have, and maybe a week to consolidate for those who have spent early trades. Yeah, I agree. There's no one that's a must-have this week. No one that is a must-have. So if you've got a good team and you've got cash generation on your bench, don't do anything. I personally don't mind Dudley, because Dudley's the kind of guy that his basement price, right? And because his basement price, I do like that pick, and he's also got Richmond and Melbourne, so I think that he still scores okay against those teams, and he should still make at least 100k. So if you've got someone on your bench that isn't doing great, like a Camporelli, and you can make that swap, I don't mind that. But yeah, if you think you're in a good spot, I don't think there's anyone that's a must-have. Neil Erasmus, will he get another crack? Probably, but honestly, Fremantle's midfield's just stacked, and we've got Nat 5 coming back in. Maybe Erasmus gets a go now that Nathan O'Driscoll's out for the next few weeks. If Nat 5 comes back in, and Neil Erasmus also comes back in, I don't mind that as a trade-in. I really do not. I really do not mind that as a trade-in. Is Day out for 4 months? Yes, he is. That's Scott Williams. Tyson Martin, yay or nay? Let's take a look. He's got a screenshot. Sarong, Humphrey back out. Trade in O'Driscoll, Luke Jackson. I think you missed the boat with Humphrey. Personally, he's not a keeper. He's already made 50k. He's probably only got another 50 to 70k in him. And it's then not worth trading him in just to make 70k and trade him out. His scoring over the next couple of weeks will be decent, I think, because he's got Richmond and North Melbourne. But no, I don't like this trade at all. I would be trading down to, if Neil Erasmus gets picked, I'd be going Sarong, Neil Erasmus. Or even, I'd prefer Sarong and Dudley, honestly. Just do a full Fremantle trade, go Sarong and Dudley, and then you've got excess cash for next week upgrades. I wouldn't be bringing in Bailey Humphrey now. Saligo for Callahan, Lewis Grigg. I love it. If you can make that happen, make it happen. I actually love that. They're trades. They're trade-ins for the week. Now, before we go to captain choices for this week, I just want to make sure that you guys have subscribed if you haven't already, or like us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. That's Nerds for Life SC. Let's go to captain choices. Fixture. Oh, before we go to captain choices, I traded out my favourite player last week because I got impatient. And it's probably the only big mistake I've made when it comes... My only massive trade mistake I've made so far. And that is I've traded out Sammy Lawler, right before his 100. And I predicted it too. Like, watch. Look at this. Look at this on X. Right? I posted this just before the Richmond game started. Take a look at this. Anyone that can't see this, that's listening to this on Spotify. I posted just before the game started. Just so you all know, I traded out Lawler and held Lindsay. So everyone with Lawler should expect 100 today. And he fucking scored 112. And now he's getting forward status next week. He was so good against Richmond. He was so good. Actually against Brisbane. Now, looking at the trade-in options and... Sorry, the captain and vice-captain options. We've got Thursday night footy. Adelaide take on the Cats. I don't like anyone from this game, so I wouldn't be making my VC or C options there. Friday, Collingwood versus Sydney. I'd be ignoring this game as well. This is where my VC is most likely coming from Saturday. Now, if Harry Sheezel is listed at halfback, I really don't mind him against the Suns. Could go big at halfback again. But another one I'm also considering is TDK against West Coast, provided Pitnet's not back in the team. Should do really well against the Eagles. Then you've got the Dogs and Lions. I don't really like anyone from this game. Essendon and Melbourne, I don't really like anyone from this game either. Richmond Fremantle, I like everyone from Fremantle. So if my VC doesn't work, Brayshaw or Sarong. Whitfield against St Kilda should be pretty good too. And I don't really like anyone from Port or Hawthorn. That's it. They're my captain and vice captain choices. Thanks for watching. I'll be back same time, same place next week, guys. Thank you.